Our next speaker is Russell Craig. Russell is an art educator teaching as a senior lecturer in fine art, drawing and printmaking at the Queensland College of Art, Griffith University. His area of printmaking speciality is lithography, as taught by the Tamarind Institute in the United States and Australia. America, sorry. I still don't know where I am. His teaching experience has covered tertiary, undergraduate and postgraduate supervision. Craig commenced his art training in the early 70s in Melbourne at the Caulfield Institute of Technology and a postgraduate fellowship year in painting at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. You have actually the CVs on the chair, so that's why I'm jumping a little bit, but I'd really like to introduce Craig, especially that he was getting a scholarship that enabled him to study a master printer qualification at the prestigious Tamarind Institute, the University of New Mexico. He was the first Australian to be awarded this highly regarded printmaking qualification. So please welcome Craig.
I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to introduce myself firstly through my artwork. I consider myself first and foremost an artist, and this is very important. It's probably going to be an important issue when it comes to discussing what is print. I think it's important that, especially in education, which I've had a lot to do with over the last 40 years, that this issue is put into perspective when it comes to printmaking. So I like to introduce myself as an artist, and I happen to use printmaking. I happen to use drawing and lots of other mediums. But don't get me wrong, I've got a passion for printmaking. I love printmaking, and I was very fortunate, as Aki said, to study at the renowned American Institute for Collaborative Lithography, and that's Tamarind in New Mexico. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do first is let's see here. So, this is my current exhibition, which is coming up on the 23rd of June, and it's an invitation to you. It's a small section of a 2-metre drawing, and that's the section down the bottom. It's, as you can see, it's an incredibly graphic image. It's a drawing, but 5:1 actually refers to the Doors and a song from the Doors. And I must say that I'm extremely impressed with the prints that are in this exhibition over the road. I think you've done a great job, all those participants. And it's just interesting that a lot of people are choosing to celebrate the natural world, which this particular print is titled In the Day of the Coral Reefs, or In the Time of the Coral Reef. And it also impressed me that a number of artists in that exhibition were very much involved in the psyche. In particular, I could choose John Drake, who happened to be one of my students in the early 80s, and the beautiful print that's on the cover of Belinda Sinclair. Now, I'm just going to scroll through this one. So I'm doing this a little different. So there's your invitation, and as you can see, what I've described there is the beauty of our natural world, as well as the subconscious through hybrid forms and marine forms designed to trigger the viewer's imagination. Now, I'm going to do this a little different in that I'm going to introduce one of my current works and an exhibition that I was involved with, a very good exhibition that I was involved with my colleagues, fellow students and postgraduate students that went across to America. And can we bring this up? Just a brief outline of where I've come from. I too, like Stephen, came from the deep depths of Melbourne, and I'm very, very happy living here in Queensland. I wouldn't go back there. But I do treasure my education in Melbourne, because little did I know that particularly RMIT was the seeding for printmaking in Australia, and it had some very auspicious people working in this department when I was there, completely unknowns to me of how prestigious and how important they would be. I did 4 years at Caulfield Tech, and I studied as a painter, and I was accepted in the fellowship diploma postgraduate at RMIT, and I was given a small studio. This is all important. Believe you me, this is important. I was given this small studio, a painting studio, and I found myself somewhat isolated. Although there were plenty of efforts from the painting department to integrate me into the painters, I found it far more engaging to go up to the printmaking department. And I have always maintained that, and this is an important issue when it comes to what is a print to me, is that the community, the actual community that's involved in printmaking, is an essential part of the dynamics of this medium. It's not unlike ceramics, it's not unlike a number of highly crafted areas where you have to learn a skill. And you have to engage with people in order to learn these skills. And I found myself at RMIT going more and more up to the printmaking department. And yes, I too was taught by George Balderson, but he spent less than probably an hour with me showing how to use a lithographic press, and that was my first lithograph, and it was quite surprising that became my area of specialty. But there are a lot of other people in that particular year and that experience, one of which I'm going to get up to QCA this year, Graham Peebles, who was my peer at the time. Now, after that, I was successful in getting employment in Queensland, and importantly, I gained a Queensland scholarship. It was the Queensland Education Department that supported this. It's quite an unusual move, thinking back in the Bjelke-Petersen days, that they would support someone to go over to America to study for 2 years and do something what seemed to be quite archaic, to learn the mysteries of stone and plate lithography. And I regard it as probably one of the highlights of my career to be given this opportunity. And I found myself actually with a number of artists, auspicious artists, American artists that I would print for. So the boot was on the other foot. I was no longer the artist. I had to deflate my ego. I had to put myself in a position of realising their work, one of which, Roy de Forest, was one of my favourites, and a fantastic experience for me. So from that, there was a huge amount of prints that I printed during that time. I might add, Deanne was also a part of that experience, and he's produced the most beautiful print in that exhibition. And he's set up his own workshop, and he's on the Sunshine Coast, but he's also doing a roving printmaking job throughout Australia. There are a number of my ex-students who have gone there to Tamworth, and they've had a great experience. So when I did come back to Australia, I found myself in a position where I wanted to share and utilise this expertise and all of this knowledge and experience that I've had in just 2 years in America. And I have continually done that for almost 40 years in my education. Well, it was 36. And that has included taking a lot of those works and the works of my students to lots and lots of exhibitions right throughout Asia and the Pacific. And you can imagine what an experience that was, to go to somewhere like New Caledonia and teach for two months, or to take a large exhibition of student works and these beautiful works that I printed at Tamworth to Vietnam. So I won't be able to go through this beautiful set of prints here from my... Oh, so, and I'm particularly interested, why I was particularly interested in actually showing you these works is that they do challenge this whole notion of what is a traditional print. And it's not to say that I'm not in love with a traditional print. I adore printmaking. But I think that the arena is there to be challenged. So this is Blair Coffey, a beautiful big screen print onto a fabric, like a chiffon or a silk. Whoops. And here's Caroline. Where's Caroline? So here's Caroline Craig's works, and she had, and I might mention the, how do I reverse that? I might mention that Caroline's work includes not only two-dimensional but three-dimensional, and she often uses the element plate itself and beautiful armoury. It turns out to be a combination of the duality of paper and steel, and a beautiful set of prints that she's done in this exhibition. Claire Cowley, a recent graduate, and we often promote performance-based works, and she's a terrific artist, a really good lithographer, but you can see where she gets her mark making from, and it's not from putting her hands in her pocket. She does beautiful performance pieces. David Jones is probably the best printmaker in Queensland. He is a master printer, and he's Indigenous. He's got his own setup, and he's got the biggest press in Australia in terms of etching, and a fantastic printmaker. And he often takes it beyond the boundaries too. He's just had a recent exhibition at the Bolles Gallery, and this is Ivan Gardner, a fantastic artist who uses digital imaging, and he draws on the palette, but takes, unlike me, I've got an example of one of my works, but he takes his drawings right from the drawing screen and takes it through a journey. But this is actually a moving image, so in his final presentation in his honours, he had these as moving images, and that was juxtaposed with those beautiful digital prints. Glenn Skern, most of you would know Glenn. He's one of our graduates, but he's also a colleague. He's teaching. He always is continually shuffling and changing and collating. Jennifer Andrews, beautiful drawings. Jenny Sanzaro, she's here. Jenny, put up your hand. A beautiful selection of works that she presented, icons or symbols of Australia, but three-dimensional. Sculpted works along with the two-dimensional. And Jonathan C., who's one of our techs, beautiful selection of two-dimensional work. So there's probably 2 or 3 more people, but I'm giving the word. Thanks very much.